Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome to this Bowspring class where we are about to make our day way better as a result from stepping into this class, and I welcome you here. In today's class, there is an emphasis on lifting, filling, and expanding the ribs away from the hips. And then as the ribs lift, the hips can really root back. And as the hips root back, the ribs can further lift. So there's this separation between the ribs and the hips through the belly. And as the ribs and the hips move away from each other, the belly gets longer. There are so many health and body and mind advantages from lifting the ribs and rooting the hips. And if we just think about the opposite for a moment, if the ribs are dropping down into the space of the hips, oh, that's gonna be no bueno. Nope, nope, nope. And if we're lifting the hips into the ribs, that is also not going to be beneficial for our physiological, emotional, or mental, spiritual health. So we want to really anchor the hips back and wide while lifting the ribs away from the hips, and so much energy gets unlocked in our body as a result. So as always, I'm going to be sharing with you the amazing Bowspring, and please know that this is a whole recipe, and I'm only giving you a couple of the first ingredients. So if it feels a little weird or strange or different, then you're right on time. And please understand that for a YouTube video, I have to really condense the recipe down. Otherwise, I'd be sharing with you the whole recipe and there's just way too much information. And actually I have an online course that does that. So let's get going. If you have a yoga block, please grab that. If you don't, no worries, grab something that could emulate a yoga block, and especially the height of a yoga block when it's on its tallest edge. And let's get to it. Please, let's meet in an all fours position on our hands and on our knees. If you're coming from standing, I will walk you how to get to the hands and knees. Go ahead and step your feet wide. Point your toes forward. Bend your knees and bend at your hips and lower your hands to the tops of your thighs. Keep bending your knees but widening your butt up. As you lower your hands to the ground, step them forward. And then step your feet back and lower to your left foot and knee, your right foot and your right knee. And let's welcome ourselves into this all fours position, hands and knees, through taking some organic movement, arcing the ribs left and right, swaying the hips left and right, while you consciously begin to draw in and receive a deeper breath. Let this breath travel in and out of your nose. It's so healing for the nervous system when we nostril breathe. And come to neutral, please. Push your hands into the floor to really fill your back ribs, and then tuck your butt just for a moment as you lower your chin towards your chest and arc your thoracic spine, the back of your ribs, towards the sky. Pause here momentarily to really fill the back heart and the back side ribs as you take a little arc to the right, push your left ribs wide. Deep breath, noticing the sensations you feel as you open up that side body, and then slowly lift back through center. As you arc to the left, push your right ribs wide. Deepening your breath, allowing it to travel through the space of your back heart, noticing the sensation through the right side body. One more time on each side. Arc to the right, push your left ribs wide. As the left ribs push wide, begin to reach the ribs forward by reaching and then the left hip reaches back. Slowly lift back through center. So we're moving in this rounded shape that's not the Bowspring first, just so that we can feel the back heart and the side ribs. As you push the floor away, arc through the back heart and arc to the left. Push your right ribs wide, and then begin to reach the bottom of the right ribs slightly forward away from your hips. Lift through center, untuck your butt, and lift your chin towards the sky and get really now open through the front of your heart. exhale, draw your chin in towards your chest, drop your bum just for a moment. We're gonna synthesize the cat and the cow for a little cacao. Take a breath into your back, heart filling. Then untuck your butt, my friend, so you can feel the lower back curve. Push your hands and your arms into the floor to fill and open through the clavicle bones as you lift your chin from your throat. Widen through the clavicle bones, that's what I mean. Then, in this pronounced position of the ribs full, your lower back curved, and your booty moving up, we're going to take a couple of pulses here, sitting the hips back and reaching the ribs forward. Now notice, as you sit back, if you drag your hands back energetically just a little bit, like you're moving in this direction, okay, but it's energetic, you're gonna feel the back of your arms tone, and you can use that tone to help bring you forward. That's also a tone that is going to help separate the ribs and the hips. And last one, sit back. Keep your sitting bones wide and broad, your pelvic floor open. We'll come to neutral. This time the knees are gonna go wide and the feet come together, and walk down onto your forearms. Go ahead and seed the hands so the fingers curl in, and just take a couple of pulses here, forward and back. And I notice that my shoulders are going over my elbows, so I walked my hands a little bit more forward so that the shoulders do not go over the elbows. And then walk up onto your hands with the knees wide and the feet together. Please walk your hands up and over to the left. The arms are still stepped wide and more in front of the shoulders, and pole vault over your left shoulder as you sit your right hip back and then pulling the right rib up and forward. Notice when I sit back, I'm not just dropping my ribs towards my hips, right? I keep my ribs lifting and elevating away from the hips to engage in these arcs. That really opens the side bodies in a nice way. Deepen your breath through your nose. And then sit back, keep your booty bloomed as you walk your hands to center. Then walk them up and over to the right. The arms are stepped at a vector. Wrists are more in front of the shoulders as you arc over the right shoulder. Push your left ribs wide. Begin to drag your left hand back just a little bit to help pull the left ribs out of the waistline. Keep sitting your left hip back and widening your right sitting bone away from your left so your sitting bones are expanded. 3, 2, and 1. Walk your hands to center. Walk your knees closer together and step your feet apart in a neutral position. Go ahead and push the tops of the feet down and slightly forward. And then we're going to sit the hips back and walk the hands up into a kneeling pose. Reach your hands around the back of your body for what we call a double hip hook, and it's holding the bottom of the bum. The thumbs are on the outside of your hips and the fingers are on the inside, and my fingers are pretty, like they're crawled up there. It's getting intimate. Push in and then pull up on your butt. Sit the bum back and let it bloom into your hands. Now, we're just gonna take a couple of pulses, gently pushing your knees wide into the mat and then energetically squeezing your heels up for 3, 2, and 1. Awesome. Sit back, keep the booty blooming as you release the hip hook hands and lower your hands into an all fours position. Step the feet a little bit closer together. Shift your weight into your right leg and lift your left leg into a square leg. The knee is hovering right below the hip. Bring a gentle flexion into both of your feet while relaxing the toes, and then push the floor away so the collarbones get wider and your back heart stays full in that turtle shell energy. Now lift and lower here. So the ribs, they're moving forward and up, and then the hips are moving back and wide. Imagine that you had a 5-pound weight at the back of your left knee. Push into that imaginary resistance. Now resist dropping your ribs into your hips and curling your belly and rounding your spine. Ouch. So we want to be inside of the double S curve. It's so healing. It's what the Bowspring is all about. Push into that imaginary weight here for 5. As we lift the ribs, we take less strain and weight from the joints. And then open it up into a humble cat. Step your left foot to align with the center of your right shin. Step your left foot at a diagonal. Kickstand your right foot so it goes wide to the side and begin to arc your left ribs towards the sky. Sit your bum back, but reach your ribs forward. Through each pulsation, even as the hips go back, your ribs are slightly going to come back because of the position, but you want to keep them energetically moving forward. Micro bend your right elbow. Ensure that you're not hyperextending as you push the floor away, and then lift your left hand to hold the back of your head. Narrow your elbow in and lift your chin from your throat. Arc your right ear behind your right shoulder and lift your left ribs towards the sky. Then lean back through your head, your heart, and your hips as you take it into some pulsations. Big deep breath. Keeping your pelvic floor open as you sit back, keeping the energy of the ribs moving high forward. And then lift your left hand and we're gonna reach it around the back of your body to grab a hip hook. So you're grabbing the bottom of your bum, pull the bum up, sit back into your hand with your bum as you begin to comb and anchor, sculpt the tissue of the butt up. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, last one. I just want you to feel your butt here, and then go ahead and feel your sacrum. That's gonna be just right here at the top of the bum. And we wanna make sure that the sacrum is going in. If you were to curl and round and compress the ribs into the hips, then the sacrum would be going out and down. We want it to be going in and up. So just feel that. You can feel your lower back curve. Now get fuller through the ribs and then lower the left hand, the left foot, and the knee. Take a moment and wag your tail. Actually, let's just step off of the hands for a moment. And in this seated posture, pulling out the flesh of the glutes, and then just take your hands to your bum here. And we want the bum to go wide. It doesn't matter the shape of your butt. It doesn't matter, like it can still go wide even if it's not a big old juicy booty. Okay, and then touching the sacrum again, and we want it to be going in and up. Lift your hips from your heels. Push the tops of the feet down and forward so you get a little flexion through your front ankles. Lift your arms. Sit the hips back, let the sitting bones go broad as you lower your hands to the ground. Spring hands, and then let's shift the weight into the left. Lift your right. So my shoulders are not stacked above my wrists. My shoulders are slightly behind the wrists. Go ahead and bring a soft little flexion to both of your feet, relaxing your toes, and lift and lower in square leg. So we can get a real nice juicy booty workout here by imagining that there was a weight at the back of our right knee and we're pushing into that weight. Then you can imagine there was a weight on your ankle and you were pushing into that weight. Relax your belly, but push the floor away to fill your ribs. Booty is mounding up as the pelvis is tilted forward. Lift your chin from your throat and deepen your breath here for 5, 4, 3, 2, woo! Anyone else feeling it? And 1. Okay, you're not alone. Let's open it up into humble cat. Step your right foot to align with the center of your left shin. The right toes are stepped more at a diagonal. Lift your bum towards the sky, but now reach your bum back just a little bit, keeping the sitting bones broad. So oftentimes when we reach back, we drop the butt. Resist dropping it. Only go as far back as you can keep the sitting bones broad, your pelvic floor open. Then push the floor away and the ribs energetically and physically move in the opposite direction. So the ribs are filling and moving forward even as you sit the hips back. Kickstand your left foot, arc your left ear behind your left shoulder, and begin to lift your right ribs towards the sky, lifting your right arm into the air. Hold the back of your head with your hand and arc over the left shoulder. Sit back, lean back. Keep the back of the ribs full as you reach the ribs forward and up. It's like they're full of helium, so light, free, open. Lift your right hand from your head and reach it around for a hip hook. The fingers are pointed in towards the groin as you push in and pull up. On the butt, sit back into your hand. There's some work that is happening with the right hand as it pushes in and up. And lift your right hand, release that, and just touch the back of your bum, touch your sacrum, and feel if it's going up and in towards your lower back versus out and down, which is what would happen if we were dropping our butt. Okay, and release. Lower your right foot and your right knee. Hands are stepped wider and more in front of the shoulders. Curl your toes under. Push into the ground. Step your feet as wide as your yoga mat. Big toe mounds are on the mat. The rest of the toe pad is off of the mat. When you push into the floor, you can fill and elevate your ribs. Now bend your knees and shine your butt towards the sky. Push into the ground with your feet to launch your ribs forward, and we're pulsing it here. Keep your belly long between each pulse. Now let's just do the opposite to feel it. So if you bend into your knees and just collapse your ribs towards your top thighs. Okay, really expand your butt towards the sky here with your knees slightly bent. You can feel that they're collapsing through the armpits and the ribs are moving towards the hips. So now to move in the opposite direction, if you push into the floor with your hands, you can elevate your ribs, fill them, and then begin to reach them forward away from your hips, but keep your hips anchored. Hips root, ribs rise. Now pulse inside of that energy. Do you notice when you engage your ribs more that you engage more of your core? Now go ahead and bend your knees, but spin your heels wide and pulse from there for 5. So the feet are just at a little angle, not super wide. And 1, okay, spin your heels back to center and your feet forward. Walk your hands halfway back, grab your block or your whatever you're using. Step your hands to the top of the block, and the arms are, the block is stepped at arm's width distance from the block. Okay, push into the block to elevate the ribs. Bend and extend from here. So even in this wide stance forward fold, which is very common to collapse the ribs down in this posture, traditionally, we want to keep the ribs lifted and filling, moving in that forward direction as we move the hips in the opposite direction, back and up. Shift the weight forward to the paws of the feet. Now bend into your left leg, extend your right. Whoo, yeah, bring a micro bend into your right knee. Lift your right bum towards the sky. Bend into both legs and then bend into your right leg, extend your left. Whoo, micro bend your left knee, lift your left bum towards the sky, get a little bit fuller through your ribs. Let your deep breath guide you back through center, and then walk your hands up to your thighs. Okay, for this moment, just let your ribs deflate into your hips for a moment. Okay, now we want to do the opposite. If you push your arms into your legs and move with the energy of your ribs filling away from your hips, push your knees into your hands and broaden your bum back. Feel how long and open your belly is. Let's twist the right rib to center. The arms are straight-ish, but just resist hyperextending your elbows. Lift your ribs to center and then dip your left rib to center. Deep breath. One more time on each side. So I'm not dropping the ribs and the elbows, shoulders aren't coming up towards the ears. I'm really using my knees and my legs as props to push my hands into to expand my ribs from, and then dip left. Chin aligns with sternum. Oh, what a good day to be here, huh? Yeah. Okay, lift through center, bend into your knees. Now shift the weight into the paws of your feet. If it's not already there, that's the front of your feet. Reach your arms forward and then slowly lift by pushing into the ground with your feet. And here we are in a standing position. Let's just take a sway. And stepping the block aside, come to the center of your mat, facing forward. Lift your arms and cross your right arm over your left. Walk your hands to the scapula blades. Take a breath through your back heart. And then begin to lift your ribs out of your waistline. So you're lifting them high. Now, rooting your hips in the opposite direction, bend your knees, sit your bum back, and arc to the left. Imagine that you're pole vaulting over your left shoulder as you arc. Bend your knees, sit your bum back rather than down. And then pause and walk your left hand down to the center of your right rib and give yourself a little massage here. Pause in this arc. Hold the right ribs with your left hand. Push in with the left hand, pull it up. And then take 3 really big deep breaths through your nose as you pulse it, pushing your top rib into your left hand. Inhale, lift. Relax your hands by your side. Just pause and feel. Notice your right side compared to your left. Lift the arms. This time the left arm crosses on top of the right. Give yourself a hug here. And arc to the right. Focus on lifting and expanding the ribs. They're moving north, south, east, and west. They're expanding in all of those directions. Walk your right hand down to the left ribs. Give yourself a little massage here. Oy, 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 it could get so tight in here. Anyone else feel tight? Oh man, I do. Okay, now we're gonna push in with the right hand on the left ribs and then pull it up energetically. It's going up, yeah, away from the hips. Then sit your bum back so it really anchors, it really roots, and that's what gives permission for the ribs to rise. Here for 5. We actually create so much more wholeness and union in our body as we separate the hips away from the ribs. We get into trouble when we are collapsing the ribs into the hips. And inhale, lift. Good job, my friends. Slowly lower your hands by your side, but can you keep your ribs full? Can you keep them open and the helium effect present? Okay, good stuff. Lift your arms. Now, in the front plane of your body, cross your right arm over your left. Step your feet as wide as your mat. When you bend your knees, sit your bum back rather than drop it down. Bum goes back, and you really don't have to sit far back very much. Use the wrists to push into each other as you arc the arms up and over to the left. Then arc your left ear behind your left shoulder. So it's like my throat is open, and then there's this little arcing, so the whole neck gets longer as you open your belly. 3, 2, and 1. Lift through center. Switch out the cross of the wrist. Left on top of right. Begin to lift your left ribs into the air as you take your arms up and over to the right. Lift your chin from your throat and relax your right ear behind your right shoulder. Sit your bum back. Keep your toes glued to the floor as you enjoy this side body opener, remembering the space that exists between the ribs and the heart. This is so nourishing for all of our organs, all of the fascia that wraps our organs and our abdominal space, so healthy for the psoas. And inhale, lift. Exhale, uncross the wrists, slowly lower the arms to your side, but keep your ribs full of buoyant energy. Sit, step narrow. Okay, last little hurrah. We're gonna low globe the hands. A low globe hand position is a reflection of a full rib cage. So in this position, the elbows are wide, collarbones are open, back heart is full. I'm not just like here, right? Here or here, this energetic bigness inside. Okay, then we're gonna parallel park the hips to the left. That means they go back and wide to the left. Lift your hip ribs away from your hips as you lift your right foot into the air. Bring a small little flexion, relax the toes, 10 bicycle pedals. Offer this moment a deep breath. Notice where your gaze is. Notice when you look, if you are looking down, we want it to be right at the horizon so the throat is open, back of the neck is curved, and you're inside of those healing curves of your spine. 3. I'm bending through the standing and the lifted leg. And 1, cross your right ankle over your left knee. Bring a flexion into the ankle, and then now kick your toes back behind you so the inseam of your ankle lengthens. Bend at your left knee and your hips as you bloom your butt back, and then take your hands to your calf and give yourself a little massage to the calf. Pulse it. So I'm rotating my calf forward and down, blooming my butt up. Usually it's very common to drop the ribs into the hips here and let the front ribs push forward. So we want to go wide. Now for a hip hook, lift your right hand and reach it around to your right butt. Left hand reaches around to left butt. Give yourself a butt lift here for 3, pulsing it 2 and 1. Lift and lower. Keep holding your butt here. Just feel that. Woo! It's magic. It's magic. It's magic. But every time we do that, every time that we are lifting and mounting the glutes and then adding our hands to mold the tissue, we are literally informing our fascia on the direction it's supposed to go. And it really works. It's like you're sculpting your body as you are touching it and inside of the engagement. So powerful. Other side, low globe the hands. Get radiant inside of your body as you lift through your energetic field. Park your hips to the right. That means they go back and wide. Resist your left sitting bone away from your right, so they go wide. Lift your left foot into the air and bicycle pedal. You're pulsing through your standing leg and your lifted leg. We want to engage the left foot by relax the toes. Of course, I go into so much more detail about everything that we're doing in my online course because there's a lot of things going on below the surface, but this will give you a feeling for it. And then taking it into a cross ankle squat, please cross your left ankle over your right knee. Now balloon your butt back. Let your left knee slightly come forward just a little bit. Take your hands to your calf. Now begin to massage the tissue forward and down while the left ankle is engaged. So there's a small flexion and then the toes go back behind you to lengthen the inseam of your ankle. Bloom your butt back and massage and mold your left calf forward. Pulse it. Okay, lift your hands from your calf. We're gonna reach around for a double hip hook. Pulsing it, 3. Pushing in and dragging up on the booty. Booty lift, yeah! And lift and lower. Woo! That's it. Give yourself a high five. Good stuff, my friends. Okay, please step wide. Toes pointing, feet pointing forward. Bend your knees, bend at your hips. Take your hands to your thighs. Keep your belly long and the space between your ribs and your hips is really spacious as you step your left hand and your right hand down. Step your feet back, crouching cat. Step your feet shoulder width distance. When you bend your knees, don't just drop your front ribs towards your thighs. Reach the front ribs forward. That's it. Keep that length in your belly through each pulse for 5. Imagine that you're getting ready to spring forward. You can feel your butt get involved. Step your feet hip width distance now. Twisted cat to the left. Arc your right ear behind your shoulder and twist your knees to the left. Lift your right ribs towards the sky. Don't let your weight just drop through your right arm. Push the floor away to dome your left hand. If you want to add on by lifting the left hand, that's an option too. You can hold the back of your head, or you can just keep it in spring hand for 5. Now lift your chin from your throat and your gaze is more towards your right hand, the top of your right fingertips. It's not looking up towards the sky. Lower your left hand if it's lifted, spin your knees back to center. Whew. Okay, opposite side. Let's do it before we can think about it. Twist your knees to the right. Lift your right ribs towards the sky. Lift your chin from your throat and take your gaze more down into the left without collapsing the front throat. And maybe doming your right hand, pulse it. Lift your right arm into a vector, really feeling the ribs go forward. Holding the back of the head maybe. 3, 2, and 1. Lower the right hand, spin your knees back to center. Lower your knees to the ground. Lower your right hip to the ground. Whew. Lower your left leg, step your left hand in front of your body. And we're going to seed the right hand and lower the right hand to the left corner of your mat. Your head goes first, ribs last. And then please, let's cross the left leg over the right. Both of the legs are bent. And then pull out your right rib. So push down through your hands to lift the right rib. And open your left arm at a vector. Start more at a lifted Y. And then begin to open your left arm, lowering it to like a T for a juicier shoulder stretch. And then please come onto your back. Step your body towards the center of your space. Lift and mound your glutes. Before we take it to the other side, let's just do a little core work, even though everything that we've done is also core work, but more specific. Lift your arms towards the sky, palms face each other, fingers curl in. Lift your feet from the ground. Lift your chin from your throat. Now move the knees a little bit further away from your body so you can feel the lower back curve lifting inside of its curve and bicycle pedals. So if we bring the knees too far in towards the body, then we collapse the lower back curve and we collapse the ribs into the hips. So we always want more space, to accrue more space between the ribs and the hips, and we do that through the curves, maintaining them and remembering them. Here for 5. Lift your chin out of your throat. Push down through your ribs, push down through your hips, push down through the back of your head. And 1, lower your feet to the ground, good job. Extend your left arm long and roll to your left side. Drape your right leg over your left, pull out your ribs for a moment, and then lean your head back. The left arm stays on the ground as you lift your right arm into a Y. And notice when the arms go more above your head, the ribs, it's gonna lift the ribs out of your belly. So that's good. Now keep that lift as you begin to lower the right arm into more like a T. Nice little shoulder opener. And then please come onto your back, step yourself back to center. Lift and mound your glutes and come into a twist. Lift your knees from the ground. Lower back curve is present, neck curve is present. Twist your knees to the right and your arms to the left. This is a real engaged twist, so notice that my limbs are lifting from the body. They're not just collapsing to the ground. Now move your arms and your legs away from each other and bow your belly. Lift your knees back through center, and then they move in the opposite direction. For a juicier twist, you'll kick your heels away from the back of your body. One more time on each side. Keeping the toes long, relaxed. And inhale, lift. Lower your feet to the ground, mound your glutes up. And then walk your feet a little bit wider and relax your knees together. And just feel your hips here. And then notice if there's any space between your lower back and the floor. It might not be eventually, but we just want it to be energetically moving in that direction. Then lift your arms to open up space in the back, heart, and roll left and roll right. And then come back through center. Walk your feet in, lift and mound your glutes. And then please extend your right leg long, followed by your left. And your arms relax by your side with your palm open. As you lift your chin out of your throat, the neck becomes a little bit longer. And relax your eyelids down so there's darkness behind your eyes, and you just let your nervous system settle and take in all of this powerful information that you've exposed yourself to this morning, or whatever time of day you're listening to this. This is a really important place to be, so be here for just at least a couple of minutes to soak in the power of your practice. Give your weight to the ground as you release any tension through your jaw, through parting your teeth, relaxing your tongue to the roof of your mouth, and sealing your lips. Be held in the sweetness of what happens when we create more space between the ribs and the hips. Energy can flow so much more efficiently through our body. Our digestive health increases. Please give yourself the gift of staying here for as long as your schedule allows you to. If you're ready, bring some movement into your fingers and your wrists, your toes and your ankles, stretching your arms all the way over your head, and feel the space between your ribs and your hips grow a little bit longer. Walk your feet in and roll to either side. Push down through your top arm in front of your chest. Coming up from your side, your ribs first, your head last. Coming into a kneeling pose as you just close your practice in a mindful, compassionate, beautiful way. Reflecting on gratitude for just turning this video on. So yes to that. We can cheers to the space that we've created and the gifts that it gives when we open our hips and our ribs and move them in opposite directions. Cheers to that union that is the result. We can bow inward, thanking ourselves for being here. Lift your chin from your throat, open your arms towards the sky as we bow open. Thank you so much, my friends, for joining in this class. And please, again, know that this is just the little bit of the surface layer of the bowspring. There's a lot going on in this powerful healing movement system. And I talk about so much of that in my online course. So if you have any questions, please reach out. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. If you like this video, it helps the algorithm and recommending this video to other people. So anyway, wonderful to connect. Have a beautiful day.